This is a pro tip, and I've fallen into this trap myself when I believe that I have a product or solution that is so obvious and I have the right solution for it, right? So it's easy for us to spend too much time consumed with the product or service that we're building and not enough time trying to build out our network and identifying sales opportunities. And it's this mentality that you as an entrepreneur often develop, which is like, if you build it, people will hear about it and they'll come. And that's just not true in this day and age. There's just so much noise on the internet, and vendors reaching out to educators all the time trying to pitch a new product. And if you go to a conference, it's just can't remember which products that you've looked at or solutions that you've looked at. And so you got to think about the ratio that you want to spend on designing and developing your product versus the business development that you're going to do, which includes networking, identifying opportunities, clarifying the market segment, figuring out how to reach people, and the right messaging. And so, your business only survives if you can generate more revenue, but also the revenue is what allows you to invest back into your product and expand the reach of your product through more marketing and such. So keep in mind how much time you want to spend on the product development side versus the kind of the business development side. And you could think about it this way: that how many good ideas or products do you think are out there that just no one knows about, right? And you're probably familiar with a bunch of them, right? The products that you just don't know about because you haven't heard about them or just don't have time to hear about them. And there's an entrepreneur on the other end that's working really hard to make that product the best, but not so hard that they're letting other people know about that product. I can't reinforce this enough. Networking is really simple, and it's as a result easy to ignore because you think you could just pick up and do it anytime. But it does require a lot of discipline. And if you don't like doing it, here's a simple approach. Um, just first, you got to be clear on who your customer segment is and the adjacent influencers. These are the people that might influence decision making of your customer segment. Then you want to figure out like the degrees of separation in terms of your reach to this customer segment. For example, if I've been in education for 25 years, if I'm trying to reach customers in healthcare, I'm probably 5 or 6 degrees of separation. However, if I'm trying to reach people I know who are district administrators, I'm probably 1, 2, or 3 degrees of separation. And you could tell easily the degrees of separation that you have with different individuals just by looking at your LinkedIn profile and the LinkedIn profile of people that you're connected with. It shows you whether you're first or second or third degree connected. The size of your first degree really matters because then your second degree gets amplified based off of the people that they know. So then I want you to organize your contacts, whether it's your contacts on your phone or on LinkedIn. I want you to organize them and look at who can you contact today via text or email without hesitation, and you have a high degree of confidence that they will respond. Because even that group, I promise you, you won't get 100% response. Second, I want you to think about who are the folks that you want to meet and who are the folks that can actually introduce you or reintroduce you to a contact. So an example of this might be you were at a meeting and you happened to sit next to somebody. You didn't know that person, but you spent the whole day in a workshop with them, but somebody else knows that person really well and you know that person. That's the kind of person that I'm talking about, but they would be an ideal early adopter for your product. And then who are the people that you want to meet that you just don't know, but you know that there are multiple contacts that do know them, and you're trying to figure out who the right way to reach those folks are. And so once you organize those, then those contacts, then it's a lot easier to figure out how you want to spend your time and figure out the kind of messaging that you want to send to each of those buckets so that they do the action that you're looking for. So when you're doing this kind of work, what you really do need to do is just dedicate a certain amount of time, and consistency is key, and it's the persistence that really pays off. I feel like I'm a pretty good networker, and what I do is I dedicate 2 days a week, 2 hours a week, one on cold emails and one on warm emails and hot emails to reach out to folks, to either get feedback on ideas or the next version of a product that I'm working on, or to expand my network so that I could better understand the problem and understand what I could do to my product that allows us to solve those types of problems as they evolve. So when you're reaching out to your network to get feedback, it's really important to just focus on one, maybe two things so that the time is really dedicated to providing you with feedback in that specific area, whether the feedback is around usability, functionality, value proposition, messaging, the user experience. There's a ton of things that your product or solution or service can get feedback on, but you really want to focus on one or two things just because otherwise it's just too confusing for the user, especially during their early stages. You also don't want to ask very yes or no questions, right? And this may seem obvious, but I've seen people do it where they're like, hey, so do you think this is a good idea? Of course, like, the person on the other end is going to say, yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea. That it's no loss for them, right? So you got to figure out how to make their feedback useful, and using the right kinds of questions will really help. Like, maybe it's like you might find it more useful if, like you said, what challenges did you encounter while trying to use the mockup, or what message did you find difficult to understand or conflicted with what you're trying to do because your messaging is wrong for the service that you're trying to provide. So another good thing that I like to try to do is I like to test a couple different messaging ideas with the person that I'm talking to, because what I also found, just like the feedback you're going to get, is depending on their specific experience, their role, and their relationship with you, you're just going to get a bunch of different responses. And it may be just different than what you even expected. And so, one, it's good not to have expectations on the type of feedback you're going to get, but also you want to try a couple different messages because it's going to allow you to see what resonates with people if they had a couple different to work on, and then you're constantly using those different messages with different people. It allows you to see the patterns a little bit better.